The origins of Orren SomberDeep. I didn't choose this name, it arrived, soft at first, like pressure behind the eyes, like a thought that knew it belonged to me before I knew what to call it. Orren, a doorway left slightly open, somber, not sadness but weight, the gravity of things we carry without permission, deep, not down but inward, where the loud world can't reach and the quiet tells the truth. I don't write to explain, I write to listen, to walk the corridors between memory and imagination, to stand in rooms that remember me before I remember myself. These stories don't preach, they breathe, they move like fog through feeling, like symbols tapping the glass of the mind, asking not to be solved but to be felt. This is dreamworld work, where fear waits instead of chases, where wonder doesn't announce itself, where meaning stays just close enough to change you without asking permission. I am Orren SomberDeep, a witness to unseen weight, a voice for the spaces we avoid naming, and when the world grows too loud to hear itself think, this is where the dream opens, and listens back. I speak from the space between thought and echo, where names arrive before meaning settles, where silence hums and shadows keep their promises. I walk dream corridors with pockets full of symbols, trading certainty for wonder, letting memory breathe and fear sit still. My words don't preach, they drift, don't explain, they reveal, bending time like mist around streetlights of the mind. I write for the unseen weight, the pause after truth, the geometry of feelings you cannot measure but always feel. This is Orren SomberDeep, where imagination listens, where inner worlds surface, and where the dream does not end, it watches you wake. Below is a non-biblical origin prologue written as an introduction to Orren SomberDeep, grounded in dreamworld logic, symbolism, and atmosphere. It functions as a threshold rather than an explanation, inviting the reader inward. Prologue. The name that arrived first. Before Orren SomberDeep became a voice, it was a pressure. It arrived without sound, settling in the space behind thought, where impressions form before language dares to shape them. The name did not announce itself or ask permission. It simply waited, patient and exact, as though it had always known where it would belong. There was no moment of invention. No deliberate choosing. The name emerged the way fog does, not created, only noticed. Orren came first, soft-edged and unfinished, a syllable that felt like a doorway left ajar. Somber followed, carrying weight, not sadness, but gravity, the pull of things unspoken. Deep arrived last, not as a direction downward, but as a distance inward, a reminder that some places are vast precisely because they cannot be mapped. Together, the name formed a presence. It did not claim identity in the ordinary sense. It became a vessel, a listening shape, a quiet observer moving between waking thought and the dream currents beneath it. Through this presence, stories began to surface, not as lessons, not as declarations, but as atmospheres. The worlds that gathered around Orren SomberDeep were not governed by sermons or certainty. They followed subtler laws, memory bending like light, fear behaving with intention, wonder appearing without explanation. Meaning existed, but it refused to be handled directly. It asked instead to be felt, like temperature or distance. These stories did not seek belief. They invited attention. Orren SomberDeep became the place where the unseen could speak without being named, where abstraction could wear the shape of narrative, where inner landscapes were allowed to remain partially obscured. The dream world did not exist to escape reality, but to reveal the patterns that reality leaves behind when no one is watching. This is not an origin marked by revelation or command. It is an arrival shaped by recognition. The name remains, listening. And when the dream world opens, it opens through it. The dream world and symbolic fiction. It is atmospheric, symbolic, and inward-facing, allowing meaning to emerge rather than be explained. The Quiet Geometry of ElseWhere. A Dreamworld chapter series by Orren SomberDeep. Chapter 1. The Room That Remembered. The room did not wait for him to enter. It was already aware. Dust hovered in slow constellations, arranging itself into patterns that felt intentional but unreadable. The walls leaned inward just enough to suggest listening. When he stepped across the threshold, the floor sighed, not in protest, but in recognition. He had been here before. Not in body, but in residue. The room remembered him the way water remembers stone. At the center stood a chair with no shadow. He did not sit. Some things required standing. Chapter 2. Corridors without distance. Beyond the room, corridors unfolded, though none could be measured. Each step carried him forward and inward at the same time. Doors appeared briefly, then forgot themselves, becoming walls again. From somewhere unseen came the echo of unfinished thoughts. They were not voices, but impressions, the emotional afterimage of choices never made. He noticed that fear behaved differently here. It did not chase. It waited, patient and precise, like a librarian of darker volumes. He passed it without touching it, and it did not follow. Chapter 3. The Lake That Looked Back. The corridor ended at water. A lake stretched outward, smooth as polished obsidian, reflecting not his face, but his pauses. The longer he hesitated, the deeper the reflection grew. When he moved, the surface rippled with memory rather than light. He knelt, touching the water with 2 fingers. The lake responded by showing him a moment he had forgotten on purpose. It was smaller than he remembered, quieter, and heavier. He did not look away. The lake dimmed, satisfied. Chapter 4. Architecture of Breath. Structures rose beyond the lake, assembled from rhythm instead of stone. Staircases inhaled as he climbed them. Arches exhaled when he passed beneath. The place was alive, but not alive like a creature. Alive like an idea that refused to fade. Here, meaning did not announce itself. It lingered, just out of reach, asking to be felt rather than solved. He realized then that the dream world did not exist to explain him. It existed to reflect the spaces he avoided. Chapter 5. Leaving without departure. When he turned to leave, there was no door. Instead, the world softened, edges blurring into suggestion. The room, the corridors, the lake, all folded inward like pages closing themselves. He felt no ending, only a gentle release, as though the dream world had finished listening for now. When his eyes opened elsewhere, something had shifted. Not visibly. Not dramatically. But the unseen things had rearranged themselves. And they would remember him.